Nobody showed up for the ceremony. No familiar face was visible in the crowd. My name sounded over the speakers, yet the family reserve area remained entirely empty. Cold metal seats reflected the sunlight. Still, I smiled for the picture, acting like the moment didn't hurt. 3 days later, Mom's text came through. She needed $2,100 for Sophie's Sweet 16 party. No congratulations were offered, only this demand. So I transferred just $1, writing "congrats" in the notes. Immediate action. I changed the locks. My apartment finally achieved silence, though the peace was short-lived. The graduation day should have been when I was finally acknowledged. The May sun made the stadium shimmer, navy gowns blurred with proud families holding up phones. Diana Joy Baker, Master of Data Analytics. When my name boomed, I searched the front rows automatically. The reserved for family section was glaring, metallic, and empty in the light. No shadow showed where my parents belonged. I gripped the diploma too hard, forcing a smile for the photo. My cheeks strained from the fake expression. Laughter blossomed around me like dropped confetti. Students embraced parents. Friends wept over flowers. I stood by myself next to a stranger's family taking shots. My smile diminished with every shutter click. Later, I stayed in the courtyard, scrolling my phone to look occupied. Maya, my classmate, found me and squealed. "Great job, you did it." Her parents took photos of us, all smiles. She scanned the people. "Where's your family? Are they late?" I lied easily. Years of practice made the lie come out. The sky was turning gold by the time I reached the parking lot. Balloons floated above car roofs. Kids yelled, horns blared. I watched the scene from the driver's seat of my beat-up Civic. For one moment, I pictured them walking to me. Mom waving, Sophie wearing her glitter sneakers, Dad carrying a bouquet. The vision ended as the engines roared to life. The truth is, I knew better than to expect anything. My parents had skipped my college graduation too. That time, Mom claimed Sophie needed to study for finals. Dad didn't even bother calling. There was always a reason, always a priority that was smaller or shinier than me. I spent my adolescence attempting to earn love like it was a school prize, holding 2 jobs, sending money home, agreeing to all requests. At 16, I was already wearing a brown apron at the coffee shop at dawn, serving caramel macchiatos to professionals. Mom's texts often requested funds. "Thanks, honey. Sophie needs piano lessons." Or "field trip expense, just a little extra." I always complied. The first time she called me our pride, I accepted it. I used to think appreciation was the sound of love. Now, I understand that sound was obligation. Getting into grad school, I promised myself the degree would fix everything. That sufficient achievement might make her finally see me as her equal, not the backup plan, not the daughter who was just a reliable patron. I hadn't realized success itself could be twisted into one more reason to demand resources. 3 days after the ceremony, the cap and gown still hung near the door. That message appeared on my screen. "Need $2,100 for your sister's Sweet 16. No congratulations, no interest in how the day went. Just numbers, a deadline, the same assumption of compliance." I stared at the text. Something small, tired, and long ignored finally activated inside me. I stared until the phone screen dimmed and locked. $2,100. The number was presented as a command, not a question. Numbness should have been my default state. Money had functioned as my family's substitute for affection for years. But that day, the demand didn't just wash over me. Maybe it was the post-graduation quiet, the sound of applause meant for others. Maybe I had simply exhausted all reasons to keep purchasing non-existent affection. I checked my banking app. My savings were barely $3,000. Something hardened within me. I typed $1, wrote "congrats" in the memo field, and hit send. I sat for a long minute watching scent glow. Then I pulled the spare key Mom insisted on keeping out of the front door drawer, and I threw it in the trash. That night, I called a locksmith. He arrived about an hour later. An older man, his voice was soft, his tools making a sound like wind chimes while he worked. The new lock clicked into its position, solid and final. After he left, I stood briefly in the doorway. I inhaled the faint scent of oil and metal. This was the first boundary I had ever established in my life. Sunlight filled my small apartment the next day. I brewed coffee, watching the steam curl up. For the first time, the silence didn't make me flinch. It was my silence. Nobody could walk in. Nobody could ask for anything. Peace had a sound, and this was it. Until the knocking started. It was firm, rhythmic, and persistent. I froze. It was not Mr. Chen, my landlord, who always called before visiting. I looked through the peephole. 2 uniforms filled the hallway. "Phoenix Police," one said calmly and professionally. "Miss Baker." My heart raced as I opened the door. "Yes." The taller officer, an African-American man in his 30s, showed his badge. "We received a call from your mother. She stated you were acting erratically, changing locks, not answering calls. She worries you might self-harm." I almost laughed, not because the situation was funny, but because the absurdity circled back to tragedy. "She did that?" I asked quietly. His eyes softened. "We just need to confirm you are safe. Do you mind if we step inside?" I allowed them entry. The apartment was tidy, a coffee mug on the table, my laptop open to a project, the diploma framed on the wall. I gestured around the room. "Do I appear unstable?" The officer almost smiled, his mouth twitching. "Not even close, ma'am." He asked about work stress and family. I answered honestly. "I just finished grad school. I am working on job applications. No medical issues, just setting boundaries." He nodded. "We will file this report as no concern. If your mother calls again, you can refer to this visit." They started to exit. Just before stepping out, he added, "When people begin standing up for themselves, others often panic. This happens frequently." When the door closed, I leaned against it. I was shaking, not from fear, but from intense fury. My mother had not just crossed a line, she had declared war on the concept of boundaries. That night, I sat on the couch. The police report email was still fresh in my inbox. I replayed years of manipulation, how she used guilt for money, how she always said, "Family helps family," if I hesitated. It was always about control, never care. I didn't yet know her next move. But if she was willing to use law enforcement to humiliate me, then she had no limits. The silence in the apartment no longer felt peaceful. It felt like the pause preceding a storm, and I was finished waiting to be struck. The next morning, I woke before sunrise. The city was quiet beneath a soft haze. My phone lay face down beside the police report. Mom hadn't contacted me since sending the officers, but her silence meant strategy, not peace. I made coffee and opened the laptop for job hunting. Instead, I accessed my banking application. A pit formed in my stomach instantly. 2 new credit inquiries were blinking, Chase Bank and American Express. Both were recent, both unfamiliar. My chest tightened. I had applied for no new cards. I clicked to view my credit report. 2 accounts existed in my name. My social security number was used, but the address listed wasn't mine. It was my parents' house in Chandler. I froze. The balances were already rising. Thousands had been spent. Then I read the transaction. Scottsdale Plaza events, Phoenix DJ agency, Glam Studio. Mom's earlier text hit me like a shot. "Need $2,100 for your sister's Sweet 16. It hadn't been a request. It was a planned setup. I called the number on the statement. My voice shook but remained steady. "This is Diana Baker. I need to report identity theft." The woman verified my identity, paused, then stated, "This account was opened in person at our Chandler branch last month. Co-applicant Alina R. Vance." Everything stopped for a moment. The refrigerator hummed, the clock ticking, even my own breath. "Ma'am," the representative continued carefully, "we will flag this for fraud investigation. You will receive completion forms within 24 hours. When the call disconnected, I stared at the screen. All the proof was there. My mother's signature, her phone number, her address. She hadn't just taken money from me. She had become me to obtain it. I opened my voice recorder. Colorado law allows one-party consent. I could legally record our next call. I dialed her number. She answered on the 3rd ring. Her tone was sharp. "So, you are alive." "Mom," I said evenly. "I found 2 credit cards opened using my name, both linked to your address. Do you care to explain this?" She laughed, a hollow, practiced sound. "Oh, that? I was helping you build credit. You should be grateful we paid for Sophie's Sweet 16. Stop being dramatic. It's family money. What's yours is ours." "No," I replied softly. "What is mine, and what is yours is now under investigation." The ensuing silence was immediate, heavy, and stunned. Then came her sharp inhale. "You wouldn't dare." I already dared. I ended the call, saved the recording, and labeled it Boundaries. May 17th, 2025. Outside, the morning light spilled across the floor, touching my framed diploma and the new door lock. Two tangible pieces of evidence that I had earned everything myself. And now, finally, I was protecting it. For the first time, the apartment's silence felt powerful. It was no longer the calm before a storm. It was the storm, and I was holding the thunder. I met them at a diner in Tempe, neutral territory. It was halfway between their house and my apartment. The place had cracked leather booths and coffee that was never good, perfect for my needs. Public, quiet, impossible for screaming. They arrived 15 minutes late. My mother entered first, wearing a floral dress and sunglasses like armor. Dad trailed behind her. He looked smaller than I remembered. Sophie followed, head down, thumbs flying on her phone. The golden child did not look up. "Diana," Mom said sharply, sliding into the booth across from me. "You made us drive all this way just for dinner." "We are not eating," I stated. My voice surprised me. It was steady and cold. "We are talking." The waitress poured coffee and left. I pushed a brown folder across the table. 2 credit cards opened using my name, Chase Bank and American Express, both tied to your address, both used for Sophie's Sweet 16. Mom's smile barely moved. "Oh, honey, I did that to help you. You need credit history. I was just helping." "Helping," I said softly. "You forged my signature." She waved her hand dismissively. "Don't be so dramatic. This is family. You have always been ungrateful. Do you think the world doesn't know who paid for your education?" I laughed, a sharp sound that made heads turn in the diner. "You mean me? I paid for it with every paycheck, every double shift, every loan you told me to take while you used my college fund for Sophie's prom dress." Sophie groaned. "Here we go again." I turned to her. "That silver dress you wore for your party, you danced in it on a card opened in my name. Enjoy your spotlight." Her eyes quickly looked away. "Mom said you agreed." Mom's voice cut through the air. "Enough. You do not talk to your sister like that. I did not steal from you, Diana. I borrowed for the family." "You used my identity," I said, quieter now. "You called the police on me because I changed my locks. You tried to paint me as unstable just to maintain control. That ends today." Dad finally spoke, his voice small. "Sweetheart, your mother just got carried away. Let's fix this privately. Don't blow this up." I pushed the folder closer. "There is no private fix. The bank already knows. An investigation is open." Mom's eyes snapped up, all color draining from her face. "You did what?" "I reported the fraud. The accounts are frozen. The bank has your signature, your phone number, your address. You will hear from them soon." The silence that followed was thick enough to feel. Even the diner's hum dimmed, as if the air was listening. "You will regret this," she hissed. "You are destroying this family over a misunderstanding." "No, Mom," I said, standing up. "You destroyed it the moment you decided my name was worth more to you than my love." I put cash for my coffee on the table and walked out before she could reply. Outside, the air smelled like coming rain. I sat in my car for a long time, staring at my reflection. My hands were shaking, but my chest felt light, almost hollow, the kind of hollow that peace can fill. That night, Scottsdale Plaza glittered in purple and silver. The big night for Sophie's Sweet 16. I wasn't invited, but I knew the ending already. At 8:45 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. "Miss Baker," a crisp female voice said. "This is Lauren Stein, legal representative for Chase Bank in Phoenix. I am calling to inform you the bank has escalated your fraud report. Our internal team has coordinated with local law enforcement to verify transactions tonight at Scottsdale Plaza events. You are not required to attend, but we wanted you notified." My throat tightened. "You are sending police to the venue?" "Yes, ma'am. Standard procedure. We will document and confirm the charges." I thanked her, hung up, and sat back. Through my open window, I heard faint music from downtown. A celebration about to fall apart. 40 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. "Are you insane? The police just showed up." The DJ stopped. "Everyone is starring. Mom is freaking out." Then another. "They're saying her name. The bank guy said your name. What did you do?" I didn't reply. I did not need to. Meanwhile, across town, 2 officers entered the glowing banquet hall. No sirens, just calm authority cutting the neon haze. A banker followed, holding a thick folder of receipts and contracts. "Good evening," one officer said, his voice even. "We are here to verify a report of credit card fraud associated with this event. Charges were made using an account under the name Diana Baker." Murmurs rippled. Cameras went up. My mother froze near the cake table, her color draining away. "There must be a mistake," she said, voice trembling. The banker opened the folder, reading aloud. "Primary applicant Eleanor R. Vance, cosigner unauthorized. Transaction records indicate misuse of another person's identity." Gasps. Someone whispered, "Isn't that her other daughter's name?" Mom's lips parted, soundless. Sophie stood mid-floor, eyes wet, whispering, "Mom, what did you do?" The officer's tone stayed neutral. "We are not making arrests tonight. This is documentation for the bank's case, but we need copies of receipts and ID verification." In the silence, only camera flashes were heard. Half the guests captured the scene, half pretended not to. Within minutes, the DJ unplugged his equipment. The banner reading Sophie's Sweet 16, Born to Shine, sagged in the humid air. The room emptied slowly, filled with pity and whispers. By the time my mother stepped outside, rain had started, soft and relentless. Back in my apartment, I watched lightning pulse over the city from the window. I did not smile or cheer. I just let the quiet envelop me. That was the sound of justice, subtle and absolute. For years, I thought silence signaled weakness. That night, I realized it was victory. 3 days later, the storm had passed, but the damage remained. An email arrived. Chase Bank fraud investigation resolved. Primary applicant Eleanor R. Vance has acknowledged unauthorized use and agreed to repay $8,125 in full. One sentence. No apology, no drama, just the truth on paper. Word spread quickly. Gossip moves faster than justice in a suburb like Chandler. People whispered in grocery aisles and at church. "Did you hear about the Vances? The bank issue at the Sweet 16. Sophie's party video, 30 seconds of chaos, police, and disbelief, hit 500,000 views before she locked her accounts. My father was quietly reprimanded at work for using his company address for their mail and financial statements. I felt no guilt for once. I didn't reply to any of their messages, not from anger but from exhaustion. I was finished explaining the obvious. I completed the FTC forms, froze my credit, and closed every account Mom had touched. Then I printed the final confirmation letter. I pinned it to the wall beside my framed diploma and the locksmith's receipt. 3 documents side by side. Proof of effort, proof of protection, proof of freedom. That night I brewed tea, opened the window, and let Phoenix's night air flow in. The city hummed below, alive and uncaring. For the first time, the silence did not cause pain. It healed. 6 months later, autumn settled over Phoenix streets, gold with fallen leaves. The air was crisp and forgiving. I started a new job at Zenith Analytics, surrounded by people who recognized what I built, not what I could give. On my wall hung 3 items: my diploma, my new employee badge, and the old lock I replaced. Together, they told one story. I finally chose myself. If you have ever needed to set a boundary just to breathe again, you are not alone. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to know how many of us finally changed the locks.